Good morning, everybody. How are you? It's me. A little early today. Recording this, you don't get it until around 11 or so, or a little after 11 o'clock. Depends how long it takes me to put it up. But anyhow, what's new and exciting? Well, Trump's going around calling himself a war hero. And I think that's the most disgusting thing, and I think it's a disgrace, and I think the military should get really pissed off about this. But, you know, they probably won't. Nobody gets pissed off at Trump anymore. They're either afraid of him or they just don't care. They got their noses too far into their social networking, and, you know, it's like if it doesn't happen on TikTok or something like that, people don't believe it anymore. It's kind of a real strange world out there. One I'm beginning to find repulsive, but, you know, people got to do what they got to do, I guess. I don't know. But if he's going to be a war hero, I think he should get a few Purple Hearts. You know what they give Purple Hearts for, don't you, when you get wounded? So I think somebody should beat the shit out of him a couple of times, and then maybe he can get a Purple Heart or something, you know, and we'll see what goes from there. But he wants a Medal of Honor. And it's my understanding you have to actually be in the military to win a Medal of Honor, and the President of the United States is not in the military. No matter what, he may be commander-in-chief, but he's not in the military. He doesn't take the same oath these guys take to defend the Constitution and everything. He takes a different oath, and he never says he'll defend the Constitution. If you ever watched him accept the nomination or something like that, he never says that. So you have a scumbag traitor for a president, and you people are too stupid to realize that. But I guess that's the way it's going about, you know. But no Medal of Honor for shithead. But if he wants if he wants to get a Purple Heart, send him my way. I'll take a bat upside his head and see if that works. Maybe that'll knock some sense into the dumb bastard. This is the worst president in history, and I'm not sure that history is going to be able to recognize it because they're being censored all the time now. You know, you really can't go around and say what you think you know to be the truth. Now, this isn't something new, and I want people to understand that. It's a more drastic change. In most cases, they just eliminated certain stories in history books or encyclopedias, and took out certain photographs because they considered them to be too violent or something like that. So that's how that went. But then they turned around and now they turn around and they're abolishing history. And then they're turning around and try to make it look different. You know, that Hitler, that you know, pretty soon they'll be telling you Hitler was just a misunderstood man. Nobody misunderstood him. They knew he was an asshole. It's just like Trump's not misunderstood, except by his own followers. The rest of us know what he is. Scum of the earth. Okay, what's next? Oh, here we go. This could be the start of something really, really bad. ICE is just gassed the school. Our school was gassed by ICE. I don't know whether it was done intentionally or not because they were across the street from them, but it could have been. Because the protesters were out in front of the ICE facility, and the ICE facility is across the street from the school, which has now been forced to relocate. But the ICE is using green smoke, orange smoke, tear gas. I don't think they're using tear gas. I think they're using CS gas, which is a thing that has pepper spray in it. I'm not sure. But I've been through those gases, and if your lungs are okay, or And if you're young, you can probably not be bothered by that too much. It might bother your eyes, but I went through the training of that gas and basic training, and I wasn't bothered by it. I went through it a couple of times just to, at the end of the day, you get a little irritation in your skin, but that's not the same stuff that they use down in this stuff, I think. I think they're using a very high irritant level and whatnot. But what's going to happen is they're going to start getting munitions thrown back at them to start, and they're going to get Molotov cocktails thrown at them, and then they're going to get shot. Now, shooting them is a huge mistake. First of all, they have a lot of ballistic protection, and the average sidearm, the most common sidearm out there is a 9mm pistol, and unless you're standing right up against the guy, all you're going to do is bruise him some ribs. And that goes with the sniper rifle, too. Normal sniper rifle. 7.62 Marine Corps sniper rifles with armor-piercing ammunition will go through all of that protective gear. And as soon as you start seeing armor-piercing ammunition showing up in these riots and whatnot with the exchange of gunfire, that's when we have a civil war. That's when that means that there's some people involved in this thing that are very, very serious. I don't know whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. I really don't. I don't think. Who did that song? War. What's it good for? Absolutely nothing. And that's true. War doesn't accomplish anything. The Civil War just stopped the separation of the states that wanted to separate themselves. And that might happen again. You might find a whole bunch of states along the northwestern part of the country that want to go to Canada. I don't know where the southern states are going to go. Texas is going to try and take over Mexico again. That's not going to work, people. You got a bunch of people down there, forget it. They're not going to be governed by Trump. It's not going to happen. Would they welcome in the beginning? Probably, because he'll be getting rid of the cartels, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the crime rate and everything is going to go down. That's just my microphone's dirty. Hold on. That's just Trump doing what he does. I think that the possibility of civil war gets higher every day as these people that aren't vetted properly. I mean, one of the reasons they wear masks is they don't want you to get facial recognition and then run them through various programs to see if they have a criminal record or any other kind of anti-government type record, and I think you'd find it there. I think you'll find that they've been involved with the groups like the Ku Klux Klan and others, the neo-Nazi party, all that. I think that's what they're using, because I don't think any sane American wants these guys on the street. I know I don't. I'm not down there. We're going to have our own problems pretty soon. You had a big attack in Cali. They attacked a helicopter. 14 people were killed. I don't know whether the president has got the balls to do anything, because he's sort of, I think he supports them, because he doesn't want to leave office. He's like a Trump. He doesn't want to leave office. I mean, they should never have let him run for president, but they did. Like, they shouldn't have allowed Trump to run for president. That has to be changed at some point in time. It won't be, but but I think if the Democrats get into power and they have enough votes, the first thing they do is that a convicted felon cannot be president of the United States, and that's the end of it. You know, it's not against the Constitution. All right? If you've committed a crime, and, you know, Trump needs to be tried for treason. I don't think he'll live long enough to have that happen, but that's my extreme desire, is to see him, you know, in an orange jumpsuit being dragged out of the White House and taken to prison. And the next thing you see is a picture of him sitting in a cell in a Colorado Supermax or another Supermax prison in an orange jumpsuit, doing the Nixon thing. I am not a crook. I am not a crook. Yeah, you are. You got caught. That was Nixon's biggest fault. He got caught. Trump doesn't care if you catch him. All right, he's got the courts all backed up against you. You know, you can't win. You can't win a normal argument with him. We have to get serious about it. I mean, it's look, things were really rough. You know, the government didn't listen to people back in the 60s and early 70s until they put marches across the country. There were hundreds of thousands of people in them. Most of them, Martin Luther King wanted them peaceful, and his marches were peaceful, even when they got beaten and attacked. Of course, the news media was different back then. It wasn't chicken shit news media. You know, they were very good investigative reporters back there. That's how they caught Nixon. Yes, I tell you, you don't even have to catch Trump. He just does stuff that's illegal and doesn't care. You know? I'd love to see, but I don't know whether it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I would love to see him in jail on a permanent basis thing, you know? But we'll see. Like I said, you're looking at I don't know whether you can qualify Vance as a full-blown Nazi or a full-blown communist, one of the ways anyhow. But that's what you're looking at if you get rid of Trump, and that's not something I think a lot of people really want in the world, you know. I think it's I really do. I think it's just a cleaning my screen here. I got all kinds of dust from woodworking on it. So, you know, something's got to be done about ICE. You know, I think they should start grabbing these guys off the street, pulling their masks off, photographing them, and posting them on the internet, so people know who these are. And I think you'll find out there's a bunch of criminals in there, you know, because their actions aren't that of a genuine, caring police officer that's doing this for the good of the country. These are the actions of people that enjoy violence. You know, I think that's one of the tests you have to have. You know, they're precursor to their tendency towards violent behavior. You know, I think that's just the way they are. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. They went to John Bolton's house. For what? Bolton doesn't like Trump, but he supports the government. So I don't understand. A lot of people that support this administration do not personally like Trump, and a lot of them hate Vance. But you know, these guys are here. What are you gonna do? All right, folks. It is Friday. I don't know whether I thought yesterday was Friday and I said today was Saturday or something. But anyhow, I got a little confused yesterday. But anyhow, it's Friday, the 22nd of August, and we will. It's almost 10:30 here, and we will. That's the difference. I forgot. You know, it's 10:30 here, and it's 11 o'clock over there. It's 11:30 over there. That's why people aren't watching my live videos. Okay, so I got that figured out, and then I'll, like I said, when I start getting ready for the Tuesday video, I'll tell you everybody about the time zones and everything else as soon as I make sure I got it all right. Okay, so anyhow, subscribe, please. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.